A ballerina's perspective, from performing with New York City Ballet and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to publishing poetry books and mentoring kids and teens. Join us in a weekly discussion with experts to gain mental health clarity and achieve growth in moral consciousness. Give our show a 5 stars, comment, share, and come along for the ride. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast. Today we're going to talk about all things women's mental health, burnout, beauty, and confidence with our very special guest, Trisha Domingo, a confidence coach who coaches high achievers through burnout and big life transitions. Her journey has been shaped by 10 years in modeling, including winning both first place and best stage presence at the Face of CBMA competition, alongside nearly a decade in healthcare tech, which led her to co-found Eldest Daughters Collective and guide women in finding clarity without losing themselves in the pressure to achieve. Wow, this is so beautiful, and I think just even starting with the idea of the Eldest Daughters Collective. I'm an oldest daughter. Are you an oldest daughter as well?
Yes, yes.
I've had so many people on the podcast who are the older daughter, and there is such a movement happening there, which I think is so beautiful
Oh,
and
yeah.
so like aligned. I feel like talk a little bit about how being the eldest daughter has impacted really anything about your life. I feel like there are so many parts of our lives that's impacted, whether it is that pressure to succeed, the pressure to always be on top, to always get that next medal or achievements, or the idea of like perfectionism equals worthiness. Like there's so many lens and like perspectives to look at it, I think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You hit the nail on so many different heads. And I think the reality is that being an eldest daughter has shaped my entire life. And I think it's also helped shape like what got me interested in coaching in my or like currently as well. Because I realized that as an eldest daughter, you're kind of just coaching everybody unofficially your entire life. As somebody who, yeah, as you were saying, like there is this pressure and almost like expectation to get it all right. And I know I was actually just speaking to one of my friends about this, and I was saying that it's a great responsibility. And I think some people, I'll speak for myself. I was told that if anything were to happen to one or both of my parents, like I'm basically the third parent. And I have two younger siblings. And I know that parents say these things to try and like help you feel like you're part of the team. And that's wonderful. But I think it's also really interesting that there isn't that much talk until recently about what that actually does to not only like a child's psychology, but specifically for women as an eldest daughter, because that definitely really played a lot into wanting to just achieve all the time or like constantly pushing myself to do better, and also like helping to prove that in my case as well too, like my parents immigrated to the United States, or I came with them too, but when I was 6 years old. And so there's also that added thought of like, okay, we brought you here we all came from the Philippines, and that's no small feat. So you're like constantly trying to like prove yourself and say like I can do it all. I can, like you don't put this kind of responsibility on somebody's lap if you don't think that they can take it. But then you also, or at least in my case, it was just an expectation. And that led me to feel for most of my life that like I actually had to not only like hit that mark, but like surpass it.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's so relevant to so many people who I made a whole course about inner child healing and connecting that to the eldest daughter because I
Mhm.
think think there is a spark given to the eldest daughter because there's some kind of energy within her that is so inspiring. And I feel like that's the energy that probably is pushing her to be perfect and to achieve things. But even if she can chill out and relax and not chase, there's still that spark there that's ruminating and that's kind of building up to create something beautiful. Maybe that could be just like a true soul passion or a true alignment to her purpose. That fire and that spark, it's just a gift to the eldest daughter. And I feel like a lot of my friends who are the eldest sibling, they do have some kind of spark and some kind of energy that they are in charge of something. They choose, once they become more evolved and more healed, that version of themselves chooses to take part in something that's so unique and so their own, their passion projects. And those are the kind of successes I feel like a lot of us are tuning into more so these days. It's like finding something that's giving our soul purpose and meaning and a calling and bringing people along to join the fun.
Yeah, I think, and what is also really interesting, I love that you brought like that we're trying to bring back fun into just like more aspects of our lives because that's actually what really helps get you out of a funk because the more that you are holding on to these things or not moving that stuck energy, the more it stays with us. And when you are having fun, I actually just had a post about like the joys of dancing. I had like a reel that I posted last week, and it's dancing has been like one of my favorite things, and it was talking about how it is one of the best things that you can do for your mental health as well, just because it requires a lot of coordination, musicality, rhythm, all of these different things that light up different parts of our brains. And that um, just being able to move your body and move the energy in that way means that it is not staying with us and that we're actually not ruminating, kind of like you were saying, because that tends to happen when we're not moving our body or when we are not expressing ourselves either through like writing or poetry or like speaking about our experiences with others. So I think it's awesome that there's so many people that are trying to bring fun back into their lives because it's an interesting paradox because of course if you're going through a rough time, and I've experienced this for years. I feel like I was in like a very low point, and I found out very specifically why some people don't feel like they can move a muscle, and why the interesting thing is that actually moving your body or like finding something fun, whether it's gamifying something, just trying to find the light in a situation will help.
That's so beautiful. Yes, that's so true. I grew up dancing professional ballet. So the art of
Oh, wow.
movement, yeah, I grew up dancing with the School of American Ballet and I performed with New York City Ballet. So my experience is all about like how can I balance the pressures, the burnout, the anxiety when it comes to like comparing, competition. There's so much of that going on. I think maybe now it's a little bit better because there's more talk, there's more mental health discussions, and there's kind of like almost a not a coercion, but kind of like to make sure every student is aware that they're beautiful as they are, and if they do need support, it's there for them. I feel like every ballet school should have that because it's so crucial as part of the psyche. If you're ready to shake off that daily stress, come join us for online beginner, adult, ballet, and yoga classes each week to connect with the flow of movement and the art of ballet into perfect synergy. Come as you are and learn to love your body a little bit more and gain strength and flexibility with each class. All are welcome. Sign up at Ballet Arts Movement telovital@gmail.com. First class free. TeloVital supports focus, energy, immunity, sleep, recovery, and resilience. Start feeling better today on a cellular level with zeolite, super green juice, micronutrients, gut support, and more. Get over 50% off your first order for TeloVital. Link in the description of the podcast. Sanger Daniels' online seminar promoting a positive message of self-healing with bioenergy work together with live seminars and remote coaching. Use code BIO20 for a 20% discount for our audience. Link in the description of the podcast.
Mhm.
Dancing is so beautiful, but the competitiveness in that is also so extreme. And I think like you mentioned, going deeper into fun, I think it's so true because we are the millennials. We grew up with so much fun in a way. The energy was less on the phone. It was like
Yeah.
go outside in the park, run around with your friends, go on the bikes. We barely had a phone. I think we had like a cell phone, just like flip phone starting to have cell phones. So
Yeah, or like a Nokia phone.
yes, yes, exactly. So it's like we understood fun because we were more present. And I think with technology, that's the challenge, right? To find presence and to find stillness in the moment. And I think when we're able to interact with people in the present moment, it builds so much bonding, connection, healing, even intimacy. Even if it's like just like a friendship thing, you're building that intimacy of interaction, vulnerability. And I feel like for people who are on this journey of healing and rebuilding their confidence, there is a lot about competition. Would you feel that there's like still that element of competitiveness with people? And if there is, from your experience, how can people like deal with that and heal parts of themselves that's still very competitive? Because I know as eldest daughters, there is competition there. Maybe it is like built in from society, but it is, I feel like, ancestrally even.
Mm. Yeah, I think I always like to ask people like like let's say for example, I'm at the gym and I'm on like the stairmaster. Somebody sits next to me or they go on the stairmaster that's next to me. And I think it's very easy to think, oh my God, I have to be like faster than that person, or I have to be, I have to go longer than that person. And I think it's fine to use other people or like to compare ourselves to others in a way to help grow us. But I also like to ask others, like, what is the deeper reason for why you feel competitive? Is it that specific person, or are you really like in a sense admiring something in them or that situation that you are facing, but there is a part of you that either feels like you have to work like harder or longer or fill in the blank, and you aren't just able to in a sense just kind of like do the thing or just do your best and be okay with that. So I do a lot of just self reflection. I like to ask myself a lot of questions about like why am I feeling this way, or especially if you get into a lot of like inner critic thoughts, I ask my clients as well, like when this particular instance comes up or this particular thought comes up, do you remember the earliest time that you remember that happening? Or does this particular voice sound like it is yours, or did it come from somebody else? Because oftentimes our subconscious will just latch onto something and we're not aware of it. And sometimes we just need to be guided. And if things aren't in our awareness, you can say all the right things, but still not be able to reach somebody.
That is so beautiful. And I think what you mentioned just gives us even more access to loving our body more because we'll be able to listen. I think when we are able to get more in tune and become more intuitive, it's so much easier to find that self-love and self-respect because we're attuned. I think so often when we're looking outwards, we do lead into competitiveness because we kind of like try to detach from ourselves and we try to like attach to something else when because sometimes it takes extra work to look within to see what you need to truly understand yourself. It's like, oh, I have to actually give myself kindness and affection and attention. It's like, oh, if I'm going to do that, I would so less likely want to devalue myself or others in comparison because then it's like you're always part of your it's always part of yourself when you're devaluing somebody else. It's like that oneness that you feel within spirituality. I feel like that's why it's so great to build that self-awareness with body positivity. And I think the more we do connect the dots to accept ourselves, to love ourselves, and even to talk to our body and be grateful for the parts of us that is moving, is existing, is it's so beautiful and it's such a simple thing, but I think
Mhm.
it brings us so much healing at the end of the day because it's not something that maybe we were taught to do as little kids.
Yeah. I just like I was saying earlier, I mean, I feel like, or I tried to explain these things in like a similar or in a simple concept, but it's interesting because what is what is seemingly simple is not easy to do when you apply it in real life. And I think oftentimes we don't know what we don't know at the end of the day. And I totally agree about approaching things from an inside out situation. And I constantly ask myself, like, is this an ego? Like, am I in an egoic state? Or am I truly in my essence? Or, like deep inside, in my heart of hearts, is this particular situation in alignment with who I know myself to be or who I am trying to be and aspiring to be? Does that actually fit in congruence with this particular situation or decision that's in front of me?
Yes, that's a wonderful point for sure. And speaking about like body positivity, you model and you're the face of CB Modeling Agency, and there is a rebirth show coming on April
Yeah.
11th. Can you please talk a little bit about that and how did you get into modeling and what do you love most about it?
Mm, okay. I got into modeling. I mean, growing up, my family just love to take pictures. So I've just been used to having cameras in my face for a long time. And I remember one day I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw that this particular boutique in Frederick County, Maryland, was looking for models for their online store, and that was that was like my first foray into modeling. I just thought like, oh, like that would be so much fun. Let me just go shoot my shot. Like, what could it hurt? And I went. They did a test shot. They really liked me, and so they invited me to one of their like in-house meetup events. And I came to one event, and I had a lot of fun. The photographers and I really connected as well, and so I just kept getting invited. And that was like over 10 years ago, which is really wild to say. And my favorite part about modeling is definitely being able to reach so many different people and also work with creative people. Um, I don't think that I would have seen myself as a creative person if I didn't start modeling. It really like helps to keep the gears going. And I like that when I was in corporate, at least I had that like left and right brain um, modalities. And I think it's really important as well. Like, let's say if you have a very mentally demanding job, to do something physical to balance that out. And then the reverse is also true. So my favorite thing is definitely just working with so many other creatives and all of the cool experiences that you can have through modeling. And about the Rebirth show.
Yes, I think it's so interesting how it's like the beginning of spring is our connection to the season and its diversity importance of including that in the modeling world.
Yeah, so the CEO of CBMA has also been modeling for over 10 years. She's been modeling for, I would say, most of her life. And she has faced so many different, like, adverse situations through the modeling industry since she's been here for a long time. And she wanted to open a platform where more diverse faces, so that means like people who aren't just like a size 0 or a size 2, like we're very open to having models who really just want to work, who are professional, who have a positive attitude, and who are really like just about their craft. And I really love that. I've been able to see Natasha and work with her for, I think, over 2 years now, too. And I know that she really gives her heart and her soul into her art and really loves to give back to the community.
That's amazing. That's so inspiring for people to connect to the idea of modeling from a new perspective of, I think, beauty and confidence because it is so expansive these days. There are so many different kinds of people with different kinds of personalities and cultures and lifestyles. And to have everybody be included, I think it brings such an element of unity because there are so many angles at which to appreciate beauty. And just like I started ballet classes for non-dancers and I want to have all the
Mm.
kids from different socioeconomic backgrounds to have a chance to experience dance. And I think the most fun part is when we have performances like in local schools or museums. It's bringing that element of true beauty in dance in just honoring the body and more so less so judging because I know modeling, ballet, these are all about the art and the beauty of the body. And I think more so these days there is a deeper acknowledgement and appreciation of the body you are in, which is really beautiful. And I think it brings a higher level of confidence. How do you define confidence and beauty? And have you struggled with that growing up?
I would just define confidence as feeling comfortable in your own skin, like knowing that, you are that girl, you're that guy, you are that person, and being able to just live authentically no matter where you are. That's how I see confidence. And then I would say growing up, I definitely had, I wouldn't say like a lot of issues. I think I grew into myself um like later. I definitely, like, I used to wear glasses actually for a short amount of time because funny story, I fell down. I think it was like a snowy day, and I broke my glasses. But then the next time that I went into the doctor's office, I think they were trying to like give me a replacement pair, and they were like, "Oh, her eyesight's better," and I have not needed to wear glasses since.
That's
But
amazing.
um, so sometimes I'll say like, "Oh, that's my superpower, just having better eyesight." Um, but yeah, no, I definitely struggled with confidence. I definitely um, didn't have like a lot of friends, or I didn't have a lot of people that I felt like I could open up to. And I felt like I wasn't actually able to be seen until I would say more so like in late high school stages, early college. So yeah, I know like we all have insecurities. We all have different things that we are battling and going through at any given moment. So I've just been trying to do my best to give myself a lot of compassion and to give others that same kind of grace as well. Because there's beauty in everything. You just have to be able to see it.
Yeah, that's so true. I think giving ourselves grace is like 100% all we have to start out by doing, because there is so much competition thrown at us, even if we want to like try to avoid it. And I think just censoring ourselves and being aware of our gift is a good starting point, as well as like having routines. I think having substantial routines that kind of cement your day-to-day life is really important. Used to journal every single day, and then I reached a point where I was like, journaling feels like robotic. So I had to stop that because it wasn't giving me the same vibe that it gave me before. So I changed it up a little bit, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to start doing meditations.
Mhm.
And that helped so much because it gave me that sense that I wanted to feel, which was like presence, self awareness, gratitude, and it gave me a moment of clarity with my thoughts. And I think the best way that anybody can reconnect to their thoughts and their sense of self is a great routine to kind of build into your lifestyle. Do you have any favorite routines that you have, and have they changed over time? And any tips for people who are on this journey of having more confidence and how to instill like a positive lifestyle with good routines?
I've always had a little bit of a struggle with routine, so I'm still trying to work my way through it. I have ADHD, so it's funny and not funny because my brain like needs the routine. It needs like a schedule to keep it from going from like, oh my God, what's here? What's here? What's that? I want this. um, so for a long time, my routine was going to the gym like right before work, and then just doing whatever I needed to get done later in the evening. But lately, it is actually also meditation. In the morning after I like finish feeding my cats, I will just put myself in my office, like you see here, and I'll just give myself some time to meditate. And also, I just write down all of my gratitude for the day. I like to try and fill a page. And I think to myself, like, even if like I actually feel maybe like less than grateful or less than how grateful I know I truly am, but this feeling just feels so heavy. I think just the moving like the process of like thinking of what I'm grateful for and then also writing it down, so that like movement with my hand and then like the continuation, that repetition, has been super helpful. I definitely always encourage people to um, try and one, start small, and two, try and find ways to make your routine work for your life. Like if you, for example, I think a lot of people, um, maybe let's say you've never worked out before or you've never gone to the gym before and you want to say that this is your year, so you need to start going to the gym. A lot of people will just go to the gym and they'll try to like go from 0 to 100%, and they'll say like, oh, I want to go every day. But you're not giving yourself the rest. You're not even like starting at a crawling pace. um, but I mean, that's the funny thing about like human beings also, is that oftentimes we think that we have to go from 0 to 100 just to like prove that we can do the thing. But what actually helps is to start small and then make changes incrementally so that you actually build that habit and build that, not only the muscle of doing the thing, but also the mental muscle of like thinking and actually remembering to do the thing, especially if you have ADHD like myself.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. I think it's so true. So many people do have ADHD now. And I know when there are kids in my class who have that, they really come out of class feeling more centered, a lot of kids. So, yes, like you said, having that routine is actually beneficial, but getting there is probably like half the battle because putting yourself to do that can be so challenging. And yeah, everything you mentioned is so beautiful. And I think it's that consciousness within ourselves that gives us the fuel to continue and to keep going, keep finding like the sparks, the moments of presence that I think really do help with just continuing to align with ourselves. Because yeah, like we don't have confidence every day. We don't have
Mhm.
that gratitude every day. Like sometimes when we have performances, dance performances, modeling shows, we don't feel our best, it doesn't always align. And the more we can just find a sense of love, self love, gratitude, presence, I think that just helps to build up our energy for the day, whether we feel beautiful, confident, or not. What makes you feel most beautiful? Is it how maybe when you're wearing something or doing something or not doing something? Like, what makes you feel the most beautiful and why?
Mm, I don't even know if I've really thought about this question before. I think it's changed. I know that, like, growing up, I feel like I probably didn't like how I looked, and I'd be like, oh, I want to be glammed up, and that's when I feel most beautiful. But I think I probably feel most like beautifully and confident when I am just like dancing in my kitchen or like while I'm like washing some dishes. And I think, yeah, that's when I feel the most myself is when I'm just busting out a move or moving my body and like having fun. Um, and yeah, it's not even like a what do I look like or what am I wearing? I think it's like what am I doing and how do I feel in my body? And that's when I've always felt just the most me and the most free.
I love that. That is so beautiful. And I 100% agree. Like, I feel my most beautiful on a beach in like long dress, loose dress, no
Mm,
makeup, no hair up or like anything like that. And I think there's something about the feminine essence to be in that space of like receiving because we're not performing, presenting perfectionism. It's like feeling that courageous to be ourselves. I think it's so beautiful and it's so healing on such a deep cellular level, even because it gives us that space to just be. Because, there are so many things asked of us, whether we are having to put our makeup on, put our hair a certain way, dress up a certain way to either please the modeling world, the dance world, our friends, even. Sometimes we are creating expectations of how we should look to other people. And I think we
mhm,
put it on ourselves sometimes. So to
mhm,
just take all of those masks off and to just like reveal our true feminine essence, I think it's so beautiful. And I think many females can relate to that and males as well. I think there's so much pressure on men as well to perform and to look a certain way when it comes to like masculinity and stuff like that. So, yes, it's a great reminder for everybody listening or watching to just like acknowledge how you feel your most self comfortable and to embrace part of that essence and not be shy or fearful of appearing vulnerable. I think the true grace in being vulnerable is seeing how people also relate to that and if they align with that because a lot of people do experience bullying. Obviously everybody experiences bullying, but when we're trying to be our true selves and we see people bully us for that, that's a red flag. I feel like I've experienced that. I'm not because like I trying to be my true self growing up as a teen, I was always comfortable like to be like free, no makeup, whatever. But
mhm,
people would bully me and be like, "Why aren't you wearing makeup? Like, why are you not doing
mm,
what we're doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, and arguments happen and all these things. So yeah, you'll people will reveal themselves to you, and you'll also be able to make choices accordingly to see if you're aligned.
Yeah, I've also found that a lot of people just live and project off of others, and that there are less people who do the inner work and ask themselves like, oh, why does seeing Ari without her makeup really trigger me? Or like, why does that touch me in this kind of way? What is that? And I think that yeah, I think that as I've gotten older, I've just thought to myself, like, people are always going to have opinions at the end of the day. So it doesn't do me any good to try and like please everyone around me. And I think that just having that awareness of like, people are also going to project how they secretly feel about, a certain situation or maybe something about you. And they'll make it seem like it's like your fault or something, or like you did something wrong, when really they're just acting out of their own like feelings and perspectives about something. So it really doesn't have anything to do with you. And that really helps keep me centered, and to just have a full awareness of who I actually am, and to know that the right people, the right people who actually see you and should be part of your life will recognize your strengths and try to build you up, instead of asking yourself why you're not wearing makeup when you don't have to.
Yes, exactly. It's like there's this new vibe of not having to follow the crowd and just to be your authentic, transparent self. That's how we heal as like the most. Oftentimes, that's when we're able to let our guards down and be real. And for people who maybe haven't experienced that yet, it's triggering for them. Obviously, yes. It's like because then it asks them subconsciously to kind of also join the club of transparency, and if they are currently not able to have the courage or the bravery to do so, obviously it's easier to just project and, to say all these things to hurt somebody else. But it is true. People who are healing more and more are taking those steps to acknowledge what feels comfortable for them and what gives them that feeling of soul satisfaction. And I think that's a great place to start. Podpitch is the first and only software that finds, writes, and sends pitches to podcast hosts from your actual email address. Podpitch will make sure you get podcast bookings, guaranteed. Link in the description of the podcast. ClickFunnels easily build any type of online business and sales funnel in record time, no matter what your product, service, or niche, without any tech design or experience whatsoever. Try the ClickFunnels 14-day free trial. Link in the description of the podcast. Unlock your best life with Soul App. Book a holistic wellness experience with a trained guide and start changing your life today with compassion practices, inner healing, food and diet, and so much more. Tap into a healthier and happier life with the #1 purposeful living app in the US, the Soul app. Link in the description of the podcast. When it comes to photo shoots and modeling, what is your favorite part of a photo shoot? And do you have any memorable experiences with either like your outfit or somebody who's shooting you? Yeah, share a little bit about the modeling world behind the scenes.
um let's see. My favorite part is probably just being in front of the camera. I personally have always viewed modeling as almost like playtime. It's just been like my favorite way, at least before I discovered pole dancing. Also, it was my favorite way of just expressing myself, because I felt like growing up, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't really feel like I was really understood, or that like people, yeah, I felt so different from so many other people. And like, so I just kept a lot of thoughts, and I just kept to myself. And that that like isolation and that like hyper individualism was like what I lived and breathed for a long time. And it was really only with modeling that I felt like I could just be free, like modeling and going to music festivals, and then later with like pole dancing. And let's see. So yeah, I think that's definitely my favorite part. And then also the collaboration that happens with a lot of like photographers and other creatives, or if I'm with, let's say, like in a group session with other people, I love that exchange of like, oh, okay, like that's a great shot, but try this. Where I always tell photographers, like, I'm going to do my thing, but if you have a vision or if you want me to do something, like, I love being coached. So just tell me, but we'll play off of each other. And then you just work together to create some beautiful images.
I love that. I love the art of collaboration too, and more so as I got older, because I think when I was younger, obviously we have to collaborate and dance with choreographers, but I feel like I didn't have like a voice to acknowledge any safety concerns, or like, can I also share my perspective? So I think there's so much beauty in collaborating with people when there is that connection and safety and awareness of like, what is the purpose, what is the mission, what is the goal. I think, yeah, collaborating can be so beautiful because there's so much merging that goes on with the minds. And I'm
Mhm.
all about like mental stimulation. I love discussing things to like make the steps appear so perfect and flowing and just like graceful. So I think there are a lot of people who are, especially empaths, who love collaborating, whether it is in their personal lives or like their artistic world. Also, yeah, there's so much beauty there. I love that.
Yeah, I feel like you loving like that entire process is very, it just makes me think of how that parallels to you being a dancer and wanting to like have a beautiful line where you're connecting all of these things together.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like it's so fun to obviously have your solos and do it perfectly and practice and rehearse and get it like really, really good. But then when you have more and more people there, it becomes more challenging because you want the flow to be almost like that much more greater because there's other people involved. So it's like, what's better than having that connection through collaboration? And I think the more spiritual I feel, the more I like to collaborate.
Mm, I completely get you. I think like when it comes to collaborating, it's this beautiful reminder that one, like there are people like you, or, who appreciate your work and who want to do the things that you are so passionate about with you. And I think it also really opens up the reminder that as human beings, we're wired for connection. So this is just like that alignment of um, of some work that's being done in a more cohesive way.
100% yes. And I feel like the more and more people that try dancing, movement, like you said, you started pole dancing, even like all these things that might feel so awkward in the beginning, but the more you connect your body to that flow of movement, I feel like, yes, confidence skyrockets and you learn something new about yourself and how you
Mhm.
trust yourself, how you embrace parts of yourself that before you haven't. So there's a lot of healing when it does come to movement and dancing. I absolutely love that. And when it comes to your work, where can people connect with you and see all of the work you're doing and also connect with your CB modeling agency?
So I have my coaching website. You can find that under thrivewithtrisha.com. You can also find me on Instagram, and that's going to be under A Taste of Trisha. And then once again, my name is spelled Trishia. The CBMA modeling page you can also find on Instagram, and that'll be CBMA Modeling Associates.
Okay, well, wonderful. This was such a beautiful conversation, Trisha. I absolutely loved getting to know you, getting to know your art, your story, your expertise, and just really sharing what it means to be beautiful, confident in your skin, so real, so raw, so vulnerable. So thank you for sharing with our audience so much today.
You're so welcome. This was so much fun. I had a lot of just a lot of fun, and I felt like we really connected over our love of dance. And fun fact as well, I also started out in ballet like right before my family and I moved to the Philippines. So I love that, and I love the work that you're doing to help inspire so many different communities to get into ballet. And yeah, it was just such a gift to be on your podcast today.